Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Dissonant Waves, episode 76. Back to our regular recording schedule. Hopefully,
Yes.
not on phones for a while again, but we'll see. Oh boy.
Yes.
We've got a very eclectic assortment, all vaguely October Halloween themed stuff going on here. We got
Indeed.
a soundtrack, the Phantom of the Paradise soundtrack and movie by Paul Williams and People and Company. We got Injury Reserves by The Time I Get to Phoenix, and Mirror Reaper by Bell Witch.
Yes.
Let's see. What? I mean,
Who's
Ritz and Tricks
here?
are here. So Ritz and Tricks are here. Yes.
Yes, we are here.
I'm here. You hear my partner in the background a lot during this one. Just gonna have to say apologies for that because she's streaming at the moment. She's playing a horror game, so if there's screaming that's sounds loud and whitish, that could be me.
It's
But there's also a chance that it's her. So
it's not domestic abuse, is what you're saying.
no abuse in here. The only thing I'm abusing is this ring from Ring Fit,
Hell yeah.
which you will hear the beeping.
Or
I
not.
don't know if this is picking up.
Nope.
No.
We're
Cool.
not hearing
Cool.
shit.
Sweet, I can just squeeze this as loud and hard as I want throughout this episode.
Hell
And
yeah.
by the end of it, I will be buff. Although the chips that
Hell
I'm also
yes.
snacking on is kind of an oxymoron for this.
Getting the ring all greasy.
Well,
Nobody likes a greasy ring.
since Ritz, you didn't have time to watch the movie this week, Phantom of the Paradise.
Mhm.
And Tricks, you just watched it.
I did. I watched it before the episode. I crammed.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, I'm gonna
let's
be
give-
honest. I fucking loved this movie.
I thought you would. Let's give a brief synopsis here. So, the movie is kind of a modern retelling of Faust and Dorian Gray, kind of that whole deal with the devil kind of story, where
Yes.
there's this big record executive called Swan, played by Paul Williams, who's like, kind of controlling the industry. He has like pop stars that he can make or break, basically. And he's on
Yep.
this hunt for a new star, and he has like this group playing at a bowling alley bar type situation.
I'm going to stop
like
you
his
for
pa-
5
yeah.
seconds and say this is starting to sound like Interstellar 5555.
I mean, Daft Punk is very influenced by Phantom of the Paradise, so it very well could be an inspiration.
Yeah.
Considering that was like one of their bonding moments as children was watching this movie.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
I've linked
I
an
didn't actually know
article.
that.
I linked an article in the chat about it this week, but that's okay.
I
But,
probably read it and just, that's interesting, and then forgot it.
Yeah. Basically,
Yeah,
then,
that's-
but the band's playing. Then the band takes a break, and then in comes Winslow Leach on piano to kind of do some interlude, kind of show off his skills. He really wants to get famous and be somebody. And as Swan is talking to his lackeys, he hears Winslow playing, and he's like, "Yo, I want that music." He doesn't want Winslow, but he wants the music.
Mhm.
So we set up this
Yes.
whole thing where they approach Winslow to get his music, but they don't want him, so they just kind of X him out of everything else. They try to just steal his work. Winslow tries to get back at them, infiltrate Swan's headquarters, and try to get back and get it, recognized. And he tries all sorts of different things, like dressing in drag, gets framed by the cops, gets sent to prison, where they remove his teeth, and
make them metal.
yeah. I don't know, it's just a thing that, because it's a Swan thing. It was like a Swan Corporation thing, so it was done intentionally to him.
Yeah.
He breaks out. When he hears that the band, the Juicy Fruits, are doing his music now, he breaks out of prison to confront Swan again. At which point, he gets chased into the record press, has a horrible meetup with the record press, gets horribly disfigured, and at some point then becomes the Phantom of the Paradise, Swan's new venue, his grand opening event. And the whole rest of the movie then is him. He briefly makes Phoenix the new star, Jessica Harper, fantastic actress. He meets Phoenix, and then now that he's the Phantom, he wants her to sing his music. Swan doesn't really want her, but also because Winslow wants her, Swan doesn't want her. And the whole movie is Winslow as the Phantom kind of terrorizing the paradise, while Swan is trying to open the paradise, and Phoenix just wants to get famous.
Yep.
And this movie, it never really got great reviews. No, it's not like a big success at the box office, but it is incredibly influential in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these films that came out, even Rocky Horror Picture Show when it came out got absolutely terrible reviews, and then still became
Yeah.
a cult classic. and just listening to the soundtrack. The soundtrack was very comparable to Shock Treatment, which we did obviously a lot earlier.
Yes, Jessica
It's
Harper
better
is
than
in
Shock
both.
Treatment.
This was more entertaining than Shock Treatment,
Mhm.
just to listen to. I mean, it's
Mhm.
still it's still as enjoyable as it can be, kind of like just without watching it.
Yeah, that's kind of the
Granted,
thing.
Yeah.
musicals kind of like peaked after somebody edited Hamilton for the "If I Can Prove I Never Touched My Balls." So I think that's been the peak of musicals for a while now.
Yeah, sure.
You're not wrong.
But there's a lot to unpack here in terms of like what the
Mm.
soundtrack does in context of the movie, because that's a lot of what you lack by just listening to it is the context of a lot of that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
like the opener by the Juicy Fruits, "Goodbye Eddie Goodbye," is just like this send up of like 50s nostalgia in the 70s.
Yes.
And then we go into like the song Faust, which is the Winslow Leach song that he plays before everything starts happening. Then Upholstery is where it gets really interesting, where Upholstery is kind of now where Swan has taken the music and has then changed it to fit the Juicy Fruits vibe, or what the Juicy Fruits become, the Beach Bums, because every time you see them, they're a different act. The Swan is chasing different styles.
Yeah.
So they go through their 50s throwback, their Beach Boy phase, their goth phase throughout the movie.
hmm
And then you get, I don't want to go into all of it, but I do want to hear what Trix has said first.
I'm gonna be honest. I absolutely love this film. I'm buying it on
Yes.
Blu-ray as soon as possible. This was fucking great.
There's a lot, yeah. Go ahead.
There was a lot of musical theater nerd in there. Like I caught all the Phantom of the Opera references, which there were a lot more than you probably think.
Yeah, there's a great
And
rooftop
yeah,
scene where she's like, "Why do you wear the mask?" And it literally, it's just
yeah,
Phantom of the Opera.
yeah. They're just cribbing right from Phantom of the Opera. It is great, and the voice box synthesizer sort of deal
The
with the
Phantom.
Phantom is wicked cool.
Yeah, that whole
I
sequence where they
just
introduce it is it's like my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, where you got the synthesizers, just the wall of like the Wendy Carlos style synthesizers and just all that.
hmm
And I have to mention Beef.
Beef, I knew you'd like Beef.
I love Beef.
So Beef, for context, is, well, Swan is looking for a new sound, of course, and he
Yes.
wants to. And there's a great scene where Swan is like looking at different musical artists, trying to figure out like
Yes.
which direction to take things. And it's a
He's in
scene
a
where,
big round desk shaped like a gold record.
yes, and then there's literally all around him the camera pans, and there's just different groups singing the same song in different styles.
Yes.
Like you got like a Motown sound, you got a country sound, you got like two sisters who are nuns kind of sound.
Yes.
And then he settles on like the hard rock, glam rock guy, whose name is
Yeah.
Beef. And then
Mm.
he becomes a character, and he's like this really like he's gay. He's just an effeminate guy.
Yes. He's
Mm.
They
very
much
flamboyant.
they very much show him like he blows kisses at guys, you know.
Yeah.
And but he has this
There's a
great
photo of
like,
Charles Atlas on his mirror.
yes, he has this great macho voice though when he sings, so it works out.
Yeah.
And then you can think about like that whole there's a whole sequence then in the end of the movie where it's the Paradise and they're doing like the live show for the audience, and the whole
Yeah.
number that they're doing is building a guy. They're building a man just like
Yeah,
Rocky Horror.
It is very pre-Rocky Horror. Rocky Horror.
And then like Beef just emerges from the coffin or the lab just like Rocky does and has his song.
Yeah.
And he's fantastic. He's wonderful. Love him.
Yes. Yes.
But the Phantom doesn't like him, and there's like a sequence where Beef is taking a shower, and they try to do like the whole psycho thing where the Phantom's entering with a knife.
hmm
They make you think he's gonna go for the kill, but instead he just cuts open the shower curtain and holds a plunger up against Beef's mouth, and he's like, "You do not sing my stuff again. Anyone who sings it dies if you're not Phoenix." Whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a really
basically
fun
the
movie.
extent of that.
Yes.
Yes, it's very fun.
Like just very open, frank drug use the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Jessica Harper fan, so I am just into her. Like she's really good.
hmm
What else did you like about it, Trey?
There was just a whole lot. Like it's just a vibe that is like I get.
It's a very chaotic movie in terms of just like pacing, where like
Yeah.
the act breaks are very specifically kind of just weighted So like every act is like its own movie.
Very much so, yes. Because you've got the first 30 minutes of it is the creation of the Phantom. The next 30 is the writing and all of that, and then the third 30 minutes is the downfall.
Right. And kind of the what happens when Winslow, because Winslow is eventually, as the Phantom, forced to kind of finish his big masterpiece for Swan to use because he has no other choice at
Yes.
that point.
Hmm.
And so, there's a lot about Phoenix. There's a lot about kind of her character and her getting involved in fame, kind of like Shock Treatment, where Jessica Harper's character gets famous and she becomes really haughty and like kind of, I don't care about you anymore. I'm famous now, so what, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, so there's that. There's the whole sequence that seems like Rocky Horror. There's the sound design for Phantom's breathing, which, as far as I know, I think did inspire Darth Vader's sound.
Yeah, it's like if you showed this to a kid, they'd be like, "Oh, that's Darth Vader."
Yeah. And then, of course, I mean, you can look at Random Access Memories. Daft Punk just has Paul Williams on the song Touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, very much influenced by, like, the mask and everything, having, like, this masked person just kind of be around writing music.
Yeah.
It's incredibly influential. It's something, like, you need to have that appreciation for camp and appreciation for just rock musicals like that, I think.
Yeah.
Because I've shown this to people and they've hated it. They've absolutely fucking hated it.
That which I can actually understand. It's not for everybody, but if you get it, you get it.
Mm-hmm. So, Ritz, I'm very curious, since you didn't watch it, like, what did you glean from the music itself?
I mean, I was getting, just without having, this was before I had studied anything about the film, so I knew that it was called Fandom of the Paradise, and that was it. I didn't know what type of genre, didn't know what happened in it, didn't know anything about it, and all I got was Rocky Horror vibes.
Yeah. Okay.
That was it. This sounded like, it didn't sound as iconic as Rocky Horror,
Sure.
just when it comes to the actual songs, but it sounded a lot more well, I guess, produced or written than Shock Treatment.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Shock Treatment. I like this as well. I like Rocky.
I wouldn't go back to this, but I don't think it's bad. I think this is just an interesting kind of musical. It's really hard to kind of, it's admittedly really hard to go onto this without seeing the movie. And kind of looking just at the synopsis, what everyone's thought of this, it's kind of odd that I haven't actually heard of this film before this.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either.
Yeah, it's still kind of, I think it's still becoming a bit of a cult movie. Like, people appreciate it. Like, I've had friends tell me about it, but it's not that level of Rocky Horror. It's not. It's somewhere between like a Shock Treatment and a Rocky Horror, where I think a lot of people have maybe heard of it, but not seen it. Or people usually don't know what Shock Treatment is, and at least everyone is aware of Rocky Horror is usually.
Yeah.
I know, like, there have been some festivals for Phantom of the Paradise, kind of like a couple fan kind of things. Never to the extent of a Rocky Horror, but
yeah, my roommate had actually watched it, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna love that."
Yeah, when I watched it again, I'm like, "Oh yeah, chicks would dig this." Just like, just because the scene where they introduce beef is just amazing.
Oh, it is.
Where Paul Williams is like talking at a press conference, and he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the future, beef." And then you just see a guy rolled out in a coffin with like his band all around him and like Kiss makeup, and they just open the coffin and there he is.
Yeah. And he always had like Beef always had like a mark on his cheek, like some sort of like makeup thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point it was like an old transgender symbol.
I mean, yeah, interesting. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I forget which scene it is, but he's got it's just the male and female symbol on top of each other. It doesn't have the third spike that the one that has now.
Maybe
But yeah,
maybe he was trying to like signal kind of queer vibes or kind of his masculinity and femininity.
Yeah,
because he's very clear. Like, he's a dude.
Oh, yes.
Like, there's a scene where he's like, "This song's written for a chick."
And
I'm looking at the mask of this character, and I was wondering why it looks so familiar. And I now know why. And it's because they referenced this character in The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror opening.
Not surprised.
Yeah, and that was the Del Toro Treehouse of Horror opening, and they had Mr. Largo replaced by the Phantom.
Did Trix die?
I posted. I think Trix has died. I posted it in the chat there if you
Oh
if you
wow.
want to take a look
Yeah.
at it. I'm like, yeah. It I kind of thought that was just supposed to be like a Phantom of the Opera for some reason, but I was way off.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how you would go there. Obviously, like, it has kind of that Phantom
Yeah.
look, but the Phantom is like cracked down the middle, usually.
Hmm.
But there is a lot of like bird reference, like bird symbology. I don't know exactly what it relates to, but
The birds.
you have of course Phoenix being named Phoenix. You have Swan being Swan. You have Winslow being a Phantom, and of course the mask looks very bird-like.
Hmm.
But I mean, this
Apologies for the drastic change in my voice.
Yeah,
Trix's
all good.
headphones died. I thought it might happen.
Yeah, my headset is just dead. It's like it was on its last legs, and like the battery just stopped working on it, and so like now it's just completely.
Well, we'll soldier through. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm using my other headset, one of those like separate earpiece ones.
Yeah,
Kind of suck,
but yes, this is like it does a lot just with not that many musical numbers. There's like about 10 to 12.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
most of them are in different genres, or of at least if they're similar genres, it's because it's the same character doing the songs.
yes.
Well, it's a 91-minute film, and the soundtrack goes for nearly 36 minutes, so around a third of the film is still the soundtrack.
Yeah, because you have like
Yeah.
the Juicy Fruits, which is like the band that keeps changing. They're doing like a 50s style song, like a Buddy Holly-ish kind of thing, and then they do Upholstery, Goodbye Eddie Goodbye, and then Upholstery, which is their Beach Boys song. Then Somebody Super Like You is their kind of gothy rock song as they're building beef on stage. And then of course you have like Winslow kind of having those more, or Swan, or I mean the Phantom kind of having those more flourishy piano ballad types like Faust,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Then Phoenix kind of has this
Uh,
like soft rock.
I will say, just I confess this, and Somebody Super Like You and The Hell of It were like both the standouts on this.
The Hell of It's great. I love the Hell of It.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hell of It was like
Yeah.
just. You used the word earlier, which was camp, and Hell of It's really campy, but it's fun.
The funny part too is that was the credit song. It wasn't even like used in the musical.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best songs of the Tenacious D movie is The Meadow, and that's in the credits.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I do like the attention kind of paid to giving each character their own style. Like Phoenix definitely has that like 70s soft rock style that you don't really have anymore, where
Yeah.
it sounds dated, but it sounds at least appropriate for the time.
Yeah.
Movie directed by Brian De Palma, a big famous director who's done stuff like Mission Impossible and Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage and a ton of other stuff I can't remember right now, but he's like a big, like in the Martin Scorsese generation of directors, is a big deal.
Gotcha.
Paul Williams, of course, on The Muppets Christmas, I think, and also the
The
original movie.
Muppet Storm Normandy, classic.
Would love to see that.
I'd watch that.
It's a Northern Line joke, I think that one.
His next musical after this was a child mobster musical called Bugsy Malone, which I desperately want to see.
I have heard of Bugsy Malone.
Where Jodie Foster, I think, plays the femme fatale, and she's like 14 or whatever. But they're all like kids, so I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, like he's quite prolific. He did like the Star Is Born Barbra Streisand version. He wrote songs for
Gotcha.
Three Dog Night. Of course, did that Daft Punk song. He's really well known and has had a long career.
Yes.
I don't know.
I
like,
got nothing else to
yeah.
say about this.
It's really good. That's all I have to say, and I'm surprised I hadn't heard of this sooner, because I would have loved it.
As the only member of the Jessica Harper fan club, I feel it's my duty to rep, and I did it. So I'm happy. We'll get to her other movie eventually. Favorites for me, gotta go with. I've really grown to like Faust, the song, a lot, just for the piano flourishes, just for how emotional it gets. I like then how that contrasts with Upholstery, because how Upholstery has some of the lines, but horribly misconfigured and recontextualized to be really vapid and like meaningless compared to this deep, meaningful, soulful ballad.
Yeah.
And Life at Last is great. The Hell of It's great. Goodbye Eddie Goodbye also
Yeah.
was fun, just for that throwback style. Least favorite, probably the Phoenix songs, so like Special to Me and Old Souls.
Yeah, I really don't have a least favorite myself. I enjoyed this. Like I'm gonna be honest, I watched the second half of it just sitting on my porch, smoking one cigar, just like just like that Matthew McConaughey meme from just looking at his phone.
There's so many great sequences in the movie. Just it's really
Yeah,
worth watching. I think you might hate it, but
and there's a lot of like I almost say like experimental film technique.
I
yeah,
guarantee you, if I talked to my dad about this, he would have seen it 5 times.
like
Huh.
Brian De Palma has always been very experimental and like interesting with his camera angles and just using a lot of like point of view shots to like
Yeah,
convey stuff, and a lot of them tend to be very complex in themselves. Where it's like there's an early point of view shot in this movie where Swan is like looking out over his venue, and he's having this
yep,
conversation with his lackey that's very much like a Godfather conversation of like, I need help, I need this taken care of, and yada yada yada. Meanwhile, the band is leaving down on this venue stage. Winslow's coming in with a piano, setting up, starting his song, playing the song. Then like
yep.
Swan stops it and like listens, and
I'm also checking now. We'll get our answer in like 5 minutes. How many times has my dad seen Phantom of the Paradise?
excellent. Yeah,
All right.
a lot of great
This
techniques.
this is the person who's watching Peter Jackson films before Lord of the Rings.
Hell yeah.
You know, the classics like Bad Taste.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
I mean, he's like a New Zealand filmmaker, isn't he? So I mean, I feel like that's more appropriate.
Well, Peter Jackson's style was just direct whatever the fuck he wants to direct, and then one time he wanted to direct Lord of the Rings and became a hit. And then they figured that if they gave him the money to direct whatever he wanted to afterwards, it would be another hit. But it's like, nah, I want to do King Kong.
King Kong did all right.
It was considered a bit of a flop though, compared to what it should have been.
I saw that in theaters when I was 10.
Yeah. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
you're
after
old.
Lord of the Rings. Remember that this was touted as the next Peter Jackson film, and Lord of the Rings was like everyone, especially in America, had really only known Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings. But like here, we know him for all these shit ass not even B tier movie films. A Bad Taste is literally just a shitty alien film he made with his friends. I'm pretty sure. That's how that's kind of how low budget it was. And then they gave him the budget, and he just did King Kong because why not?
Yeah, I just remember
Peter Jackson's my spirit animal. Not gonna lie.
I just remember that movie being.
Respectable.
I remember that movie being just like probably the absolute zenith of me being able to hold my bladder the entire time.
Fair enough.
I didn't know it'd be 3 hours.
Yeah,
You were drinking a big soda.
I remember that somehow like what was considered one of the best parts of King Kong was somehow Jack Black.
I mean, I remember
Yeah.
him being fun in it.
Yeah, apparently he was one of the serious ones, and then apparently he ended up being like actually one of the good ones in there. All right.
There
Yeah,
is
alright,
there is a scene where he fights giant spiders, and they literally just told him to
All right.
go
Here you
crazy,
go.
man. We'll add it all.
I got the reply back already. With Paul Williams, yeah, saw it at the flicks at the old Manly Metro when it came out.
Excellent, love that.
So should have gotten him on instead.
I mean, we talked about it before. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. What shall we move on to now?
What's your favorite, least favorite?
I don't really have one. Favorite's a hell of it.
All right, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Least favorite, I don't know. Like at its worst, it was just forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, someone pick. I have no opinion either way. What we cover next?
I haven't talked properly in a while, so I guess we'll do injury reserve, huh?
Sure.
All right.
So, Injury Reserve, at the time of recording this album, was an American experimental hip-hop trio. Whether or not Injury Reserve is going to continue on is still kind of up in the air. Apologies for the one person screaming over my introduction. I worked hard on this. And I can't remember exactly when it happened, but they were kind of struck and made this kind of unexpected announcement that Groggs, one of the rappers in this group, had passed.
I believe it was like last summer.
Yeah, it feels like so long ago, but it was so recent. Now the actual cause of death has, to my knowledge, not been announced.
I think
So
so,
no
yeah.
one No one knows what it is. Well, I'm not going to speculate. I don't think it's in my place to speculate there. But still, it is quite a devastating part. And this album's technically posthumous, but also not. I think there's only like a couple moments on here that were actually written after that, because a lot of this was written and kind of made last year during March, so even before COVID happened. Like Superman, that and these were both I know, at least, because those are the big songs are searching up. But they released a couple months ago, I think, at this point, the single Knees, which, if you haven't seen what the video for that is, literally just on a stage. It's just the two surviving members kind of playing, but when it's Grog's verse, they kind of like have this flashing light, and his silhouette kind of keeps appearing. It's kind of devastating to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a really simplistic music video.
Yeah, there's a visualization for most of it where it's just a strobing light. So I'm guessing it's meant to be kind of him in a way, maybe.
But I think what's the most devastating thing about this album is that if this is the last thing Injury Reserve ever puts out, it is a waste of some incredible fucking talent.
Mm-hmm.
There is some sample work on this, which is just absolutely fucking mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I mean, Knees being just Sweater is amazing. Like, it works really well.
Well, I love fucking. We covered Black Country earlier, and you probably can remember Athens, France.
I had to listen to it to like understand where the sample was.
I know it's such. It sounds almost nothing like it, but when you kind of pay attention, you go like, "Oh yeah."
Well, I also know they sampled the single version. I think the single version is a little bit different.
Yeah.
The album version.
Yeah, but it's still pretty similar structure to how the songs go.
Mm-hmm. I also know that Superman, that was like the first one that they did, like back during the first album tour. So this is like Steppa was definitely on this.
Well, Steppa is on the majority of this album still.
Right.
I think By Storm might be the only one he's not on.
He's a credited writer, at least.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be any moments on here. But I mean, when it comes to all the hip hop that I've listened to this year, and I've listened to a bit, we haven't covered too much. I think the big one that we did cover this year was Brockhampton. If we've covered anything else,
Brockhampton, JPEG's EP, and Montero.
I haven't listened to the new JPEG Mafia, so I can't tell how he's gone in here. But I can say safely that, just in my opinion at least, none of those compares to this.
Yeah, this seems like kind of the moment that a lot of that's heading up to.
It feels like it feels like it skipped a couple steps to the top. It's not quite at the top, and it's a fucking damn shame if they never get there.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what makes this album kind of the most devastating to me.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of stuff that we've covered where we've had death as a relating context. Obviously, the big one being Mount Erie, where that one's really hard to go back into because it sounds quite personal. We've gone with David Bowie, which is someone who's just ready to die. We've had
Carrie and Lowell.
Yeah, we've had Carrie and Laurel, which is talking about getting over personal. There's other albums I've listened to as well that have been posthumous. You obviously have Elliott Smith's classic Posthumous, which that one was a bit unexpected. I guess that kind of follows in. And you also have Purple Mountains, who unfortunately David Berman killed himself a couple months afterwards, which is a shame. But this feels always so weird to call posthumous, and for many reasons. One,
isn't Dr. Colossus similar? Sorry.
Dr. Colossus is a bit similar, however, one of the members died, but they're not on that album.
Fair enough.
The actual member who died is on this album.
Mirror Reaper is kind of like that.
Yeah. Where they incorporate Adrian, who had died during the writing of this album, of the Bell Witches album, and put like sequences of him singing and stuff into it as well that were from the previous album. Adrian Guerrero.
And again, I don't want to speculate, but the thing that also makes this kind of like so kind of hard about this is this album really quite heavily focuses on depression.
Yeah.
Like Knees is kind of just about not going anywhere anymore, and that kind of mental state.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning, this album was meant to come out last year.
It was all the COVID shit and stuff, and that's what Bystorm also kind of talks about.
But in the
It's
they were interviewed by Anthony Fantano. They were talking about how like it was kind of the like they were on Loma Vista usually, but the label didn't want to release it, so they went their own way and did it.
It's look when they put out their major label debut, a lot of people. It wasn't a bad record, but a lot of people were disappointed just knowing the quality that Injury Reserve has put out, especially with their earlier mixtapes. But yeah, I mean, I know I'm kind of like struggling to talk about it, but this is an album that's just fantastic. I don't think it's my favorite of the year or anything, but I think when it comes to production blowing me away, it's fucking done that. When it comes to just a lot of the songwriting here, I think it's pretty fucking tight.
It feels like the evolution of what Death Grips and JPEG are trying to do. Like take it into like a more depressive state. Maybe I don't know how to typify the difference.
I'm gonna drop the bomb that I didn't really like this album. I just didn't click with it.
Speak up.
I can see that. I can see that though.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. Like I can appreciate what they're doing and it's impressive, but like it's just not for me.
Like yeah,
And I can see it, and I didn't expect you to like this track. So hip hop hasn't traditionally gone so well with you on this.
I was saying that like what Black Mini was to her, Injury Reserve was to me. So we kind of swapped places this week.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I'm trying to think of the best way to kind of like start diving into this.
Is this post rap? Is this what post rap is going to be?
Maybe if I wouldn't say this has created a genre or anything, because I think there are plenty of albums that sound like this before.
A lot of people are like, I've seen a lot of
like
online talk, people saying that this is like the genesis of post rap.
I don't think this is the genesis. I think it's like the Beatles of post rap. It's not the start of it, but it's kind of the more start of the recognition of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can like go back and put JPEG in there as well and all that. But the thing that kind of comes with time, kind of figuring things out as the genre evolves and grows. I mean, they are representing a lot of post rock. It is worth mentioning. They are kind of putting a lot of that black country, a lot of that black MIDI in there.
It would take forever to probably go through all the samples that are done in it. There's probably a bandstand video about it. I really hope there is, because that would actually be really fucking interesting to go through. I'm searching it out right now. But I like how just distinct every song sounds from each other on this. Like, for something that you think, like, for post-rap, when you do a genre like that and you're going into here, it's like, well, is it just going to sound like... It sounds very consistent, but it sounds distinct at the same time, and that's, that's what an album should be.
It sounds apocalyptic in a way.
At a part, I do agree with you. I mean, the album art would agree with you as well, which is kind of like this very... For those who haven't seen the album art, it's very, very red. It looks like it's just a picture of a person, sorry, and kind of like sun replaces the head, and then the image is kind of really compressed and distorted.
So, I have a question. And outside, did they sample the avalanches?
I have not checked.
Because it's not on the Wikipedia page. I think it's just that horse whinny that they have. It just sounds very similar to the one in Frontier Psychiatry.
Okay, but the avalanches would have sampled the horse.
I know. So maybe I would assume they probably got it from avalanches versus whatever avalanches went from.
As long as I mean, I could say that it's unlikely, but Kanye sampled the glob 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 meme. So who even knows? Quite possibly.
I mean, Outside is the first song. That's the longest song. It's the first real kind of the way it kind of throws the ideas at you. Where it's very atmospheric, very just bleak in a way, and there's no real attempt to like rap in like traditional chorus verse kind of styling. It's
also currently the most popular track on his Spotify, which I wouldn't be surprised if the reason is because I'm just saying that over. I wouldn't be surprised if that's because everyone tries to get into this album, listens to the start, and just goes, "Yeah, no."
Maybe.
Because it's a good opener. You're absolutely right. It sets the tone for this album.
But it also shows like how atypical and how kind of off the wall it is. If you can't jive with that style, you're not gonna drive with the album, obviously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I would say Superman. That's probably actually the most accessible. It's probably my favorite off the album, to be honest. I just
Sure.
love. I love how kind of quick, how fucking batshit wall it kind of feels to go on there. The simple lyrics saying there ain't no saving me or
Oh, God, I love
saving
that.
me or you.
Like that goes through my head, and then there's the beat of
Yeah.
the sweater beat goes through my head as well.
Yeah.
But
I know we're focusing on those two songs a lot more, but they're like the best songs off here.
like
And it's not
Outside
like
has a
they did
great
the other
beat
songs.
switch.
Yeah, the other songs are great, but those two are just like that. But
Yeah, like
go back to
outside has the benefit of having that great beat switch and really kind of hooking you in if you're into it, where it just gets really groovy, kind of has that atmospheric and dark, but it like very, I don't know, cathartic as well. And I don't know, like it kind of breaks from that post-apocalyptic vibe for just a second and becomes a little bit more brighter than that, and then Superman that just kind of takes you back down to it.
Yeah.
There's only also one
I mean-
feature.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who the fucking feature was off the top of my head. Is the Loopers
Yes.
in SS San Francisco, which can't remember exactly what the fucking part of that is. It's like there's this one kind of sound that goes throughout that kind of that song that you'll notice a while. I mean, there's a couple of sounds in here that you'll notice that goes throughout the album that do quite well. I mean, By Storm you'll notice is kind of like near siren sounding kind of instrumentals that happen in it.
And they have some
And
on
that's
the
the kind of
outside
thing-
too.
Mhm.
And that's the kind of like when we talk about experimental here, that's the kind of shit that they're doing on here. It's not just we added more bass or
Right.
we distorted the shit. They're actually like trying to sound not like music at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the beginning of Outside's very like, I don't know if it was sirens meant to be or like wind blowing kind of thing, but it's very atmospheric in a way that
I would definitely like. The more I'm thinking about it, the more I agree that like post rap might actually be the way to describe this album.
but I
Mostly
think
mostly just because I describe post as like when I need to go for post or anything, it's a lot more like kind of ambient.
yeah, or like a
Or,
deconstruction in
atmosphere.
a way.
Yeah.
It's the kind of album where you like, I should have looked at the lyrics more of like what they're actually saying on here, because it's more of that versus, oh man, there's some rhymes, there's there's a good beat, they're really filling those bars like Eminem style. No, this is like the opposite of that, where the people are just saying stuff. People are just like, they're not even like really rapping. Sometimes they're just talking in a way.
And it feels weird because when you just go into the whole like they're not rapping, they're not doing music or anything like that, it sounds like it could be really lazy. But no, it's kind of like old people describing what made Captain Beefheart good.
I think you kind of just summed it up right there. Why I couldn't really get into it. It's modern Captain Beefheart.
It's like Captain Beefheart of rap,
Yeah.
Like they're definitely saying stuff. It just, you have to actually study it to figure out what's going. Like they're talking about like 5G and Wild Wild West, and that's like this interesting kind of retooling of the Wild Wild West song. Of course, talking about like Will Smith a lot, but then also like 5G towers up everywhere. 5G.
Mm-hmm.
But
I wonder if I killed my Joy-Cons.
Rip.
Maybe. And I don't want to do it anymore. Oh well, I'll go fix it up when I do Ring Fit after this. Anyway, yeah, this is to go through absolutely everything about what makes this album great would take 3 hours because you would just have to go through every little fucking thing this album does. It's an incredible. My dad just replied with a lyric to the album. Last one, the soundtrack.
oh man, if he were part of the injury reserve quote, that'd be fantastic.
No, he went upholstery where my baby sits up close to me. That's supposed to be what life is all about.
Hell yeah.
But it's an incredibly well produced album, this injury reserve record. Just the use of sampling alone is enough to make this album interesting.
Yeah.
Everything else about it is what makes it fantastic. It's I think without a doubt, especially since I'm gonna be having this sorted out in my favorite like albums and stuff at the start of December. Without a doubt, this will be my top 10.
I don't know where it's gonna land for me. I don't know if I like it quite that much, but it's definitely gonna be higher.
Hmm.
But it's hard for me to say right now because I do
I'm
like it.
currently it's competing with because I have 3 albums I reckon that are competing for my number one at the moment. I reckon that's Joyrider for the first time and to see the next part of the dream, and then
Oh, interesting.
I would say my next tier is kind of like goes from 4 to 9th tier. I'd say after that, not so much. I'd think it would be King Giz, Genesis of Rusu, Origami, Squid, Mogwai. In that tier, I would also throw Injury Reserve.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm maybe around the 10 spot, somewhere in there. I don't know for me yet. It'll be interesting to kind of figure that out.
I can definitely say I enjoy this more than Turnstile and Slide Whippers, which is in the start of the next tier.
I really enjoy Slight Withers, so I'm curious where this.
I do too, but this is just the current how I got my current ranking set up.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Looking at it right now, if I were to give a rough placement, yeah, probably around like that 10 mark, where it's like once you get past 10 is where I have like the Shannon, the Clams, La Bouquet, Lana Del Rey stuff, but also kind of like above that, it's like kind of where like Sly Withers and Petite League and all that are. I don't know. Let's see.
It's whether or not you like it more than
I can tell you all that this is nowhere near my top 10.
No surprises. The only thing that triggers me about Dominic's albums ranking that he last posted was the way that you spelled Sydney.
Where did I spell it wrong?
How do you spell Sydney? Go.
SYDNEY?
You said, what did you say?
SYDNEY?
Yeah, that's correct. You wrote it as SID.
Where?
In your post, like your post in this Discord, man, you spelled Sydney as SIDNEY. It triggers me. It triggers me.
I'm looking at this now.
This is Melbourne levels of Americana.
Oh my god, he did.
Where?
The King Gizzard one.
Ranking.
Oh god.
Go to the
Oh, I
ranking.
just saw it. Hold on.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard live in Sydney 21. It's third from the bottom.
Let me. I can't believe I would make that mistake like that.
Anyway, favorite of this album is definitely Superman that, and Knees is up there as well. And Knees took me a while to get into, but when I did, I really fucking appreciated it. With albums that I consider a 9, there were two things. Like,
Jesus Christ! I can't believe I overlooked that. Fuck.
There were 2 types of albums where I will not give at least favorite. That's where I have so many forgettable songs, it's just not worth it, or it's just so good. And this one goes into it's so good.
Yeah, I'm not exactly there. Like, I do like it, but I do think there's stuff I either have to come back to because it's a little bit not sticking for me as much.
I'd start to say I don't consider this a 10, but it's not because one single song or anything on here.
Yeah, so,
I think there are just parts that get a little bit fucking overdrawn on here. That's
Yeah.
a bad hit.
If I were to give my favorites, it'd probably be like Knees, it'd be Outside, probably top picks for you. Least favorite probably be something like maybe like Forest in the Fire, SS San Francisco, like even Superman that I was not as big of a fan of as the others.
No making any insults to my Superman that.
I just love that it's a Soulja Boy reference. That's my favorite part of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Soulja Boy
For me,
somehow has survived rap.
I actually do have like a favorite and least favorite, or like just songs where I'm like, oh, I actually kind of start liking this, and that was top picks for you and these.
Fair enough.
Least favorite then?
Two won over me too much. Like trying to pick my least favorite Captain Beef.
Okay. Fair enough. Which leaves us then with Bell Witch's Mirror Reaper.
Hell yeah.
Which is, if things are going correctly, will be longer than this podcast episode.
Yeah.
This is very ambient, and can you stop doing doom metal for 5 minutes?
No.
Just like I struggled to start this because I'm just like I don't want to commit myself for this long.
You know, Tricks. It's either it's surf punk or it's like doom metal.
No in between.
Yeah, I'm gonna be proving that this week.
When was the last time that you picked something that wasn't surf punk or doom metal? Oscar Lang.
Yeah.
And then Meth Rex, so we're back into surf punk. Oingo Boingo, that was yours, so that was new wave, I guess.
Is Shannon the Clans really surf punk? I don't know.
Not really. They were more like nostalgia, 50s nostalgia.
I can't believe I forgot of last week, but still, like going back into that.
There was
Love okay.
John Cougar concentration camp.
I mean, yeah, I even spaced out of Montreal quite a bit. I feel like
I wanted to get this in on Halloween month. So
fair enough. But yeah, it's 83 minutes. It's one song.
And it is a glorious song.
It is bass, percussion, vocals, and an organ.
An organ.
Stop making me listen to doom metal. Stop making me buy doom metal. I don't like doom metal, and I keep buying it.
Meanwhile, spoilers. This is my favorite album of the week.
Oh fuck yeah!
I can believe that.
Like, this is probably gonna crack my top 10 overall this year.
Damn.
Above Dope Smoker, which is sitting at what? Let me see. Overall, Dope Smoker is sitting number 7.
Impressive. This is better than Dope Smoker.
So it's gonna at least hit 7 or higher. I don't know where yet, but
I don't know. I didn't get into this.
That's fair.
Like
I don't think I have the attention span for this.
Like, I'm discovering how much I really like this style, because this, like, whenever I listen to this, I just get so calm and it just feels really good.
Sounds like I need to do more funeral doom.
If I'm falling asleep to it, it's because it's like I'm so calm, my body has just released all tension. I'm just ready to like.
You're just meditating to the doom metal. You are feeling the fuzz. I can respect it.
Like I took like a long shower to this, and it was really cool. Still want to take a bath.
Okay, that's a bit of wasting water, don't you think?
Like, everyone has
83 minutes. How to
everyone
shower
has their
for
safe
83
space.
minutes?
Everyone has their safe space. Okay.
Yeah, but you're wasting water if you're in the shower for 83 minutes.
I'm impressed that his hot water heater could keep going for 83 minutes.
It didn't. But you know.
They say that the world's environmental problems are caused by 6 major companies, but it's 6 major companies and Dominic's showers.
Yeah, of course. It's all my fault. The whole world is ending because of me.
No, it's not all your fault. You're just a part of the problem. We can't direct the blame solely onto one person when there's 6 other people involved as well.
Corporations aren't people.
Well, they're owned by one person fucking doing it.
Anyway.
So we don't arrest the corporation, we arrest the CEOs.
Sure, let's do that though, yes.
I'm sure cops would oblige to helping the people. That's what happens, right?
But yeah, this, just like by the time I get to Phoenix, is about kind of Groggs' death, kind of dealing with that. This album is also about dealing with the death of drummer, vocalist Adrian Guerrera. As we said, he left the band before this track was finished. He was involved in the writing process, but left the band and then died not long after that. Then Jesse Schreibman kind of took over, who was like friends with the band, and kind of took that place and kind of became the drummer, trying to both bring that sound forward that Guerrera had, but also bring his own into it. So they have this kind of 2-pronged approach where the first and second half kind of mirror each other, because Mirror Reaper. But there in the middle is this just vocal section from Adrian Guerrera that kind of bridges the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the structure in a nutshell. It's just like 40-ish minutes, and the middle is this like vocal sample.
Yeah.
And doesn't say there's not vocals throughout, there are, but this is a little bit different.
Yeah. I totally get what you're saying. The way I kind of introduced this album is like, imagine that you are like you're escaping your ravaged village and just wandering through the woods while this monster kind of just lumbers after you slowly.
Like I think the cover does a really good job of like illustrating that.
Yeah.
Where it's just like this Reaper basically emerging from a mirror Reaper.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's a very beautifully done
Whoa.
piece of art.
Yeah.
You see
There's
some,
one thing that doom metal is amazing at, and that is album.
it outdoes Dope Throne for sure, and Dope Smoker.
Oh yes, yes. Wait till we get to Venom Sabbathon or Venom Sabbathi.
There's more, Ritz.
said
There's more.
yes. We are not done doing doom. I hope you.
I think he's left the podcast anyway. If you, it's funny.
She left the podcast.
What's funny is that like if you get the vinyl version, the CD version, it is actually broken up because of the limitations of those formats.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool. CD purchase is back on, lads.
Because I think it's a double CD.
At some point, yeah. At some point, I'll have to do Earth 2, which is where we'll get into drone mode, and like songs like Teeth of Lions, Rule the Divide. It just sounds like you're in a dishwasher, and that whole album was like I can't explain it other than it's like you're inside of like the cleaning cycle of a dishwasher. It sounds fucking amazing.
Who's
And Earth.
Ah, okay.
And of course, the double release of the LP is 4 sides. So
Yes, and but it was written to take advantage of the new medium of CD and use up every minute that they have available.
Earth 2, yes.
So yes, I was gonna do that between Dope Smoker and
this
Mirror Reaper.
Jesus.
Yes.
God.
So be glad I didn't do that.
I felt bad enough when I realized I gave you too much of Montreal to listen to that last episode we did it. Like I thought I had cut that shit
And
down.
here I'm giving you one song that's an hour and 20 minutes long.
Like I went back and I listened to the extra of Montreal just to take notes on it, just to kind of share in that, even though I didn't mean for it to happen. But yeah, doing this in an Earth 2 would be, oh boy. Like I'm down. I just, for Ritz's sake, I don't know if we should quite yet.
Yeah, maybe listen to it on your own, Dominic. And just let me...
Well, eventually we can cover it.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done with the doom metal. I'm done. I'm done.
He's a broken man.
It just creates a whole sound, a whole atmosphere that is just so interesting to just revel in. It just long songs like this just kind of give you the chance to relax and just listen, just kind of soak it in a way that you can't really with like constantly changing albums.
Heads up, I'm going to be doing Great Barrier Reef next year, which is also an hour and 20 minutes long. And I think it's the best of the long songs.
And we'll see. But
yeah.
There was hardly any bells, and I don't think there was a witch.
But there was a mirror and there was a reaper.
Okay, I'll let them keep the money then.
I just like how stuff like this can just get away with, okay, no guitars. Just do bass, let's do drums, let's do an organ.
Yeah.
And it does stuff that just works. Like, I think there's still like a whole host of things you could do with longer songs that it's still worth exploring in terms of rhythm, melody, harmony, and kind of having that stuff come back and do different things over time. Kind of just getting back into just straight classical production.
Yeah, it's a shame that you really only see this kind of production in like doom.
Yeah, like I would love to see other genres do this.
Yeah, there's a lot to the long song. It's an art form that is just not really seen now.
Like let's see Charlie XCX do a whole pop album. That's this.
Yeah.
Or PC music album, whatever you want. Whatever she wants.
They will absolutely the fucking label will absolutely hate it, but do it.
Yes. Like this all started because I liked Bill Elverum when he did it.
Yeah.
What have I done? This is all my fault.
This is all your fault.
Oh, your fault. Oh, your fault.
It's because you just like, let's do that 3-part microphone.
All right, well we'll do Mount Erie then, the actual like album Mount Erie.
I mean, sure, it's too late, but we sure can.
Yeah.
Not next week, and probably not in anywhere. Fuck, I forgot to choose an album for next week.
We should do the 5-hour Methlex album.
Oh, hell yeah. Death, taxes, and Netflix. I bought it.
I think I got an email that you bought it or something, or maybe you just told me.
I think I told you.
I think I only get the emails for when
is
Ritz buys stuff.
Yeah, it's only $5. So.
$1 for every hour.
Yeah, you're losing money by not buying.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I can see like it's the same producer who's worked with Sleep, Billy Anderson. I know that. So it's definitely people who have like not directly working on this are familiar with this style. Also, was reading that 20 to 30 minutes was like cut from this.
Yep.
So I'm curious what that extra time could have been for and about.
I can't think of it anymore.
Who knows?
But it's kind of interesting to see a track like this kind of like, okay, they want to honor their friend who died, who was in the band, and then they're going to kind of, because of that, kind of build the track around that based on what was already done and what else they can
do. Yep.
It's amazing. It's really just amazing.
It is.
Like every instrument gets their solo, everything gets their shine to shine. Like there are real solos on here where there's just one instrument playing.
Oh yeah.
Like you get just whole
a lot of just
periods where it's just the organ, periods where it's just the bass, periods where it's just the drums.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Even the vocal, yeah, it really feels like a funeral in a way. It really feels like someone's being mourned, someone's being carried to their resting place.
And now you know why it's called Funeral Doom.
Whoa. 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 What? Just whoa.
We're not so desperately trying to contribute to the conversation, huh?
Whoa.
Me during.
Whoa.
Cool. Yeah. Whenever Trick says yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah.
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 My girlfriend just stared at me very angrily for continuously going, whoa.
They also have a choir at some point in this song, which like I'm curious who's in that choir, like where that came from, if that was just them or they got people to come in. Because that's not really talked about.
Might have just been super layered vocals.
That'd be cool. But yeah, I was surprised how much I really enjoyed this, just the point where I just felt so de-stressed and so calm. Like it is a thing where at the end of it I feel different. I feel like my mood has changed.
I listened to this absolutely stoned off my ass, and you reach a meditation like this. It's impressive.
It's a meditation, it really is. For that reason alone, I have to like rank it highly. It just affects me in a way that I've had no other album affect me. Even Dope Smoker didn't quite do this to me.
No, this is definitely better than Dope Smoker. Like Dope Smoker is the original, but like this is on another level.
Yes.
And Great Barrier Reef is on another level.
So, I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about it though?
I mean, I struggled to listen to this in full. I had to kind of keep stopping you, just like, I don't know. I don't have the attention span for this.
And I probably listened to it.
That's fair.
I don't know if I've ever. No, I paused it the first time I listened to it. But ever since then, I've tried not to pause it. But yeah, I've tried to listen to it all the way at least a few times.
Yeah.
Favorites is Mirror Reaper.
Yeah.
No least favorites.
No least favorites.
How about you, Riddler?
Yeah. Least favorite is Mirror Reaper.
No favorites.
My favorites.
It's excellent.
I don't know. I might withhold from ranking this week because really the only album I really enjoyed was Injury Reserve, and then soundtrack was alright. And I feel weird putting this below the soundtrack, but I think it's more impressive. But then I enjoyed the soundtrack more, and then it's just
that sounds like a good 3-2-1 to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to cement it, so I'm withholding.
Okay. Well, for me then, number 3 is the soundtrack. I love Phantom of the Paradise, but Injury Reserve is better, and Mirror Reaper is even better than that. So,
for me, I actually debated putting the soundtrack at the top. I enjoyed it that much, but Mirror Reaper is number 1 for me. Then it's number 2 is Phantom of the Paradise, and then number 3 is Injury Reserve. I just could not click with it.
I think that might be one of the most varied 3-2-1s.
Yes. It's a good week when we each have different favorites in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good week of listening for me for tricks. I don't know about Riddle, but
I like the Injury Reserve album. I kind of went to that a lot more than the others.
Yep.
that is fair.
But what are we going to be doing next week?
So, because a lot of albums came out in the last week, so I'm kind of changing my mind about some stuff I had planned. I'm gonna go very 2021 focused for the rest of the year, probably, with some exceptions. But I figure pick this off by choosing an album wasn't sure I was ever going to get to this year, but I'm just gonna go say fuck it and start with it for this leg of the podcast and say we're gonna do the new Lana Del Rey album, Blue Banisters.
Oh wow.
I heard a song off this, and I was so I could not believe what was happening. I had to throw this album on. We have to do this.
All right.
Oh my god, there's
I'll
doggos.
I'll
There's
go
doggos
next
on the album
so
art.
that,
Yeah.
so that Ritz still has time to pick. Because next week is Halloween, I'm going to be choosing a selection that shows that people are the real monsters. And I'm going to be doing one of my favorite albums that I can't listen to anymore because of Sex Pests. And that is The Growlers, Hung at Heart.
That's the Growlers Hung at Heart, if you could not hear that.
Yes.
Do not worry, because my friends keep listening to the Growlers and do not care.
I mean, you could have picked Michael Jackson, I guess.
Yeah.
Having a song called Naked Kids? Oh boy, that's holding
I'll I'll get into it on the episode, but this album really shaped who I am as a musician.
As a musician,
Yes.
not as a person.
Nah.
No.
You'd hope that you don't go and listen to this and go, hey, I feel like I'm going to become a sex pest now.
No, not at all.
Oh, and look at the Wikipedia page. Guess who was supposed to produce Hung at Heart?
Who?
Dan Auerbach, who produced Shannon and the Clams.
Oh.
But they didn't
So
like the
that'll give you
album.
an idea of what
They
it
didn't
was.
like the album, so they did it themselves.
Yeah.
So I kind of remembered I actually did have an album I was going to cover, and this goes back to Home Is Where actually. This is something that they actually advertised on their Twitter, and I'm not as into it as they are, but I'm still into this. It's this experimental emo underground act that came out, and I gave it a listen, and then I bought it straight after I listened because whilst it might not be the best album out there, it's unique enough and executed well enough that I think it's worth covering. So we're going to be doing the self-titled from Stomach Book.
All right.
Okay. So that makes it Stomach Book by Stomach Book, Hung at Heart by the Growlers, Blue Banisters by Lana Del Rey.
I feel like there's going to be some really varied music this week, which is what I love.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did not expect this to go so quickly back on the Lana train, but she has 2 albums this year, so fuck it.
Lana
Yeah.
can say whatever she wants about feminism. Her music is good.
And I mean,
tried
who
to- I
cares if
tried
she
to
was
make that
wearing
very
a mesh mask?
Anyway, that'll do it for us then. I've been Dominic. You can catch me online on Twitter at DACICHOCKI, tiltingwindowstudios.com for some writing. Dissonant Waves has a Twitter at Dissonant Waves, and Dissonant Waves has a YouTube, which you are currently listening to, and Dissonant Waves has a website, dissonantwaves.space.
Thanks.
I have been Ritalin. You can catch me on our website, ritalinforkids.github.io. I also have a YouTube channel. You can see in the description below. I'm also up $20 in Shiba coins, so fuck all of you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go
I-
Shiba, go.
E-commerce.
I've been tricked. You can catch me on Twitter at procrastinator_. That's like procrastinating astronaut, and then there's an underscore at the end of it. I also have a bot that I recently updated to add a lot more piss terms, and you can also join the ranks of the hornies by donating $10 to the Trevor Project and DMing me the receipt. So
You kind of broke
now
up there.
interactive. It's the pinned tweet.
Okay, so write a tweet for the bot and donate money to the Trevor Project, and show tricks that you did to be able to do that, I guess.
And
Yes.
give me money for the sake of it. I don't need it. I'm just a capitalist.
And I should also mention I am also once again on the Games My Mom Found podcast. I did Onimusha with them. That episode should have come out in the last week as of this recording, so I'll just mention it here again. Other than that, yeah. Stomach Book, Lana Del Rey, The Growlers. Hopefully we'll have a good time. Have a great week, everybody, I guess.
I'll
Don't-
sound
don't-
better next time.
Don't be a sex pest.
Yes.
Don't.
Gonna finish that?
No.